online now and in the future. We welcome the use of the Welsh language at meetings. I've had no requests for people to speak Welsh today, so this meeting will be conducted in English only. Members in the chamber, please be aware that we're all on camera and you may be visible on screen when people around you are speaking. And please remember to speak clearly into your microphones. Members participating remotely, can you please refrain from using the chat function and instead use the raised hand icon to indicate when you want to speak. Please remember to keep your microphones muted when you are not talking. Moving on to the agenda. Agenda item 1, attendance. Democratic Services will be making a note of members' attendance in the meeting, but should you lose connection, could you possibly leave a comment in the chat bar on your return to ensure this is picked up? Agenda item 2, apologies for absence. Dominique, have we any apologies, please?
I've had apologies from Councillors Ron Burnett and Giles Davis.
Thank you. Any further apologies? Thank you for that. Agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Justine Cass, Deputy Monitoring Officer, have you any advice for members, please?
Thank you, Presiding Member. I don't have any particular advice for members this morning, and I don't have any declarations to read out. But as normal members, if during debate you think of an interest, then please declare at that particular stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Justine. Takes us to agenda item 4, confirmation of the Council minutes of the 6th of the 12th, 2022, starting on page 5. Members, could you possibly state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the minutes? If not, I will take them as approved. I don't see any hands raised, so I'll take those as approved. Thank you very much. Agenda item 5, update on actions. Members, the updates on what has been done to implement our previous decisions start on page 31 of the agenda. Could you possibly indicate whether you have any questions or comments? Can I ask members to agree and note the update on actions? Thank you, they noted. Agenda item 6, receipt of petitions. There are no petitions, so we'll move on. Agenda item 7, public question time. There is one public question today, and I've been asked to read it as in my position as presiding member. And the question is, in view of the numerous lengthy repetitive emails of which the content has been shared with elected members regarding the serious issues raised concerning the safety and well-being of elderly and vulnerable residents of Woodland Park, we would ask the elected members to act within the Constitution, paragraph 4.7, to arrange the proper officer an extraordinary meeting in line with paragraph 4.7.2. The purpose of the extraordinary meeting being in line with the petition and its contents presented to the Chief Executive Officer on the 12th of the 1st, 2023, and now shared with the presiding member and other senior members of the Council on the 17th of the 1st, 2023. The resolution being that the meeting discusses the ongoing situation at Woodland Park and the serious circumstances, including a near fatality and the subsequent 17 months of numerous lengthy and repetitive emails. The residents would wish, within the context of the extraordinary meeting, elected members may consider the appropriate action in line with the Constitution and the authority of the elected members in consideration of the statutory function imposed on the Council by the Mobile Homes Wales Act 2013 to bring an effective and lawful conclusion to this situation as discussed within the narrative of the petition. And in response to this question, I am saying I haven't received a requisition signed by 5 members, and therefore I cannot call for an extraordinary meeting. However, I would like to remind members that they can submit a requisition at any time. In order for there to be an extraordinary meeting, 5 members have to sign a requisition, but that it has to be on an issue that hasn't been submitted to Council before. I would ask members to note the question to Council. You happy to note the question to council, please? Thank you. Agenda item 8, play service presentation. Julian Devenne to be invited to give the PowerPoint presentation on the play service. Thank you, Julian.
Good morning, Board, everybody, and thank you for inviting me this morning to do a short presentation on Torvine Play Service. My slides are moving around a bit too much there, I do apologise. Okay, thank you. Just to say, we are a service that offers play opportunities to children and young people, that delivers 7 days a week for the heart of the communities. We're very passionate about what we deliver, and we're very passionate about what we deliver for children and young people, especially children, vulnerable children, making sure we can cater for all children. We are very keen on making sure we offer provisions in the hearts of communities, and we're extremely proud of the numbers that attend the provisions we offer. So, we are based in the Education Department. We have been working within Torvine for 20 years now. I started over 20 years ago, and we built the service on the needs of the community. I do apologise, it keeps moving. On the needs of the community, and we adapt and change where necessary to make sure we can offer as much provision as possible. We are governed by the Play Service Action Plan. This is something that comes out every 2 years from Welsh Government, and we make sure we work in line with our team plan then to offer provision for children and young people. It's very important that we make sure we're offering the right sort of provision, so consultation with children, young people, communities alike, to make sure they are correct and it is what the community needs. And we're very good at doing this piece of work to make sure it is correct. At present, we are targeting well over 4,000 attendees in any of our provisions per year. Majority of the provisions we offer oversubscribed, I will say that, or there are waiting lists to attend. But we do our utmost to adapt and change and offer where we can. Slides. There we go. I want to start with this slide, the volunteering project we offer. We've been offering this volunteering project now. Will it go back? Do apologise. The volunteering project. We have been working on this project for well over 18 years now. It is, without the young people and the volunteers alike, we would not be able to offer the service we offer across Torvine. We have over 200 young people come forward every year to volunteer within our service. With these young people alongside paid members of staff, we can offer the best we can to support children and young people. And it's not just about the children getting those provisions, it's about the volunteers getting something out of it as well. They make friendship groups, they put things on their CV, they learn new skills, they learn lots of different things. So by empowering the young people to come forward and volunteer, it offers masses for the communities. And the whole service would not be doable without the young people who come forward to commit and support us. We'd like to give something back to the young people as well, and we do a ceremony every year which takes place on the 27th of February this year. And if anybody wishes to attend, they can come along. And that is an opportunity for parents, carers to come back and see what these young people have achieved and offered the hearts of communities within Torvine. This project is very much recognised across Wales, and we're constantly being asked to talk to other councils to identify how they can replicate what we are doing. My slide, I do apologise, the slides are bouncing back and forth here everywhere. I don't want to talk about everything we do because there's a massive list on there. You can see what we offer. I'll be here all morning if I went through every single one. So I'm just going to highlight a few of them. But if anybody wishes to talk to me at any time, I'm more than happy to come meet up and discuss, or if anybody wishes to come to any of the provisions, more than happy to show them. So, like I say, I will only touch on a few of these. I'll start, hopefully the slide will move along in a minute. So in school support, since the pandemic, we have built massive relationships up with all schools. And we offer quite a lot of support for schools. Some of these are here, early bird sessions. Now these are, we're all aware that children have breakfast clubs within schools. Children will go into a school and eat breakfast. It will take about 5 minutes for them to eat that breakfast, if 5 minutes. But then they're sat in those halls till the school start. So we offer play workers within the breakfast provision, where they come in, they engage with the children, they work with the children, they build relationships, they play with them, they make them ready for school. So it works really, really well. And at present, we're in 3 primary schools a week, every day throughout the week, running this project. Play in the Playground, we are linking this to 15 primary schools at the moment within Torfaen, and that is turning break time back into playtime. So play workers are on the yards, working with the children, looking at tackling any form of bullying, doing physical activity with them, and playing with them. So if you've got children who are maybe reserved or anxious about getting involved with others, the play workers are there to support them and build their relationships up with other children. It works very, very well. In school support, by working close with head teachers, we've identified where children still need to have that opportunity to play within the school environment. So we offer a package which is bespoke to each school, and working with the heads to identify what level of support they have on this. And at present now, we have got 28 sessions per week working in schools on this project. And then the big one for us really is the wellbeing project, which we do. Now this project is working with each school. Again, it is very bespoke to each school, but that is working with them to identify play opportunities within the school day. We all know if a child's well-being isn't set, it's very difficult for them to learn. So we work very close to different schools. It is a project that runs 5 days a week, and we're in 15 different primary schools on that across Torfaen. Now, this is what we're mainly known for. Everybody knows we do the summer provision. And some people think that's what play is about, playing in the summer. It's not. Children play 52 weeks of the year. We need to be offering provision 52 weeks of the year. Like I say, our service runs 7 days a week, and we offer provisions as much as we possibly can. And if you see those figures, and when I say over 2,000 children attend per day through the summer, that is correct. Sorry about this. It is 2,000 children per day. We have those names to attend, and it fluctuates from 2,000 to 2,500 per day across all our provisions, which the numbers are fantastic. In regards to supporting children, we make sure if a child requires any additional support to attend a provision, we put this in place. And we offer, last summer alone, there was 140 children who required additional support. That might be a buddy, that might be just somebody to talk to them about right and wrong, understand the dangers, but it goes through to complex needs. So some children would require 2-to-1. We have in the past had 4-to-1 workers to support one child alone to make sure they could attend that provision. But plays for all, we're making sure we can support all. We don't just run them in the summer holidays. Obviously, every holiday we would run provision across the borough. We cannot run as much in the half terms, Christmas and Easter holidays as the summer, down to the nature of the staff. We do recruit a lot of staff in the summer holidays and the volunteers, but not everybody is available the rest of the year. But we do our utmost to offer as much as we can. Now, this half term is coming up, and we are running 9 provisions this half term across the borough, and it should work well. Just touching on what we said about support for children with disabilities or vulnerable groups. We're very passionate to make sure we can offer this. It is important that we support these children to be integrated in where we can, but we've got to remember, we don't always get it right. Things do happen, things do go wrong, but we will work with all the community, we will work with the children, the social worker, and if we need to adapt and change, we do our utmost to make sure we do this. So it is about communication, it is about partnership, working with others to make sure we can offer, but we don't say no. If a child requests something, we will do our utmost to support them in whichever way we can. The next now, this slide, I think it's really important we talk about this provision we offer, and this is through the summer. We are fully aware of the cost of living at the moment, but this is running. We ran 13 of these sites in 2022, and these are very much safe environments for children to come along and play. But on top of that, they have a free breakfast and a hot meal, which is provided by Torfaen Catering. We work very, very close together and make sure we can offer as much as we can for these children. These are oversubscribed massively. They are well attended. Parents are invited in every Friday to attend. It's the same as a play setting, a play scheme, but they are offering a hot meal every day. It's superb. I think this is one that is really important what we do. The issue, not an issue, but we run this for the whole of the month of August in Torfaen. We're the only authority that does it more than 12 days. It's a bit and I don't know why the other authorities do it less, but we do it for the month. This summer we are looking at doing the same model with Cwmbran High on a transitional camp. So it'll be the same sort of thing with hot food and lunch, but we'll be working with transition for the children from primary schools, identified those children that have got anxieties about going up to the comprehensive school. We're going to trial it, and then we'll identify those children coming in as well. So under the same model, but it'll be a transitional summer provision for those children to make it easier for them to attend. We want to cover all. We want to support all children. It's really important that we support as many children and all children we possibly can. So some of the groups we make sure we cover. If for some reason we can't integrate these children into settings, we do our utmost then to support them and set up bespoke services for those, which is working very well. We also got to be aware these groups as well. There's lots of these young people will volunteer as well throughout the settings as well, so it works really well. But I will talk on a few of these. Young carers provision. Now, this is a provision we've been running now for quite some time. We have adapted it, and we run a young carers provision down the south and one in the north. So it gives the children, the opportunity to come together and play in a safe environment, again, alongside workers, but where they can play and not be carers. They're coming along and playing. But we made sure there is one at the south and one at the north to cover as many as possible as we can. And again, we have a lot of young carers come forward and volunteer within the service. This is a big one for me, that the fact that we run, like I keep saying, we run 7 days a week, this service does, and children play not just Monday to Fridays, they play on weekends. We run Saturday and Sunday provisions for children who require additional support. This weekend just gone, we did the figures, and it was 80 children attended those provisions. There's 7 provisions running, 5 on a Saturday and 2 on a Sunday, and these are for children who need that little bit of extra support to make sure they can attend a play provision. They are safe environments. It is superb. I think this is the best service we offer, is making sure these children have this opportunity alongside. So with those volunteers and paid workers, it works really well. And the numbers, we got 80 in, but we still have a waiting list of more children wishing to attend. Community play. This is where it started. This is where it started 20 years ago. When I came into post, it was a new post, and we looked at what was out there and what we could put together and what we could offer. And we started with after-school clubs, which still run now, and we progressed to everything we're doing now. At present, we are running community-based provision, and that does cover it all. There's 47 different provisions running per week. And I think not everybody's aware of what we do, but that's how many different provisions they run from throughout the 7 days a week. There's different provisions. Dad and Me, this is a provision that runs once a month, and that is a provision for dads to come together with their children to have the opportunity in an environment, meet other dads, play with their children, and really have a bit of fun, you know. And that runs once a month. Again, very well attended. Lego provision. We run lots of Lego provision. We know Lego is the #1 toy for children. Not everybody can afford to buy Lego. It's not a cheap toy. We run Lego clubs. We do Lego provisions within schools. It's a really popular thing, and the demand is high. Play in the parks, that's something we've been doing for many years now in various settings. I will say one park we work in every summer, it averages between 50 and 70 children and young people attending each day, because that runs every day. Very, very popular provision. And then events. We're very passionate about supporting the community. We always commit to the big event in Cwmbran and Pontypool Party in the Park, and other events as well, to make sure we can offer what we can to children. And on top of that, anything we can, consultation with children as all comes under that. Where if anybody needs any consultation done with children, we're happy to come in and do it, have the playworks deliver those sessions in a fun manner. Family sessions. I talk about these sessions. These are sessions that sort of came out of COVID in a sense, where we were identifying. Our main age is 5 to 8, but we were aware there was not much happening for the pre-5-year-olds. So I was walking around an area once and I saw a mum with 2 children playing on a piece of grass. She was sat on a blanket playing. I went over and started chatting to her. She lived in a flat. She says, I have nowhere for my younger children to play. So from that, we thought, hang on, is there any way we can help on this? So we set up these family play sessions. They are 6 per week across the borough. They are very well attended in various settings. The busiest alone has 120 attendees per week attended in that. And then they go down to about 75. And the lowest one, I will say, we started yesterday in Aberystwyth, had 4. Now, 4 on the first day is good, and I will tell you now, in about 3 weeks' time, that will have at least 15 attendees. I know it will. It was the first one, and 4 was good. But they're very well attended, really bursting at the seams, and very important that they run for the younger community, children. And I'm just about to finish, so I know I can go on. But just to say, this time last year, we were nominated by Swan for a national award. We were unaware we were getting this. We had the phone call the day before it was coming out, and we had to go down to Eastbourne to collect this. We were really, really proud that we got nominated, and we actually won. Torfaen won the award for the work they did through COVID. And it wasn't just about the 60 play workers that attended the hubs every day for 7 days at the beginning. It was about our huge social media campaign we did, supporting, doing activities, arts and crafts, things to do within the home, storytelling, everything we did on social media, but also the 2,000 packs we gave out to families, giving those opportunities so they could play within the home and play with their children. So we were extremely proud on that. And then the final slide is just to say thank you. But I think people need to, without our volunteers, none of this would be possible. It's so important, our volunteers. There's a big thank you to them. And partnership working, again, working with all the different partners, it wouldn't be possible again. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julian. Not many people get a clap in this chamber, so you're highly honoured there. So, yeah, you do some excellent work, and Scrutiny wanted to take a look at this, but we thought it was so important that with new elected members here to actually look at what the play service actually provides. I believe the leader wants to come in now. Leader?
Yeah, I'd just like to come in to say thank you, and please don't apologise for the passion that you show for what you do. That's one of the best parts of my role. It's seeing the passion that people have for what they do. Because I think, it's certainly true that our play service goes above and beyond. In the climate we're in now, quite often what we talk about and what we have to do is about meeting the bottom line, meeting statutory requirements. But I think we should be proud that our play service goes above and beyond the bare minimum. I think the Children's Commissioner has visited us and was, very glowing about what she saw. Other areas are envious of what we do, and I think that's something we should be proud of. You mentioned at the start that it's a key early intervention and prevention service. And I think that's something that we should all also keep in mind. But I very much encourage other councillors to visit play service provisions, the inclusive ethos that you bring to things, and for all children, and no matter what their additional needs or no matter what their disabilities, is something that's really very valuable for me. And I think the other thing that strikes me whenever I visit is the mutual benefit that everyone gets from it, both the volunteers. I know a lot of volunteers have worked in the play service, in provisions over the years, have gone on to do other jobs working with children, do other jobs, and the skills they've gained working in the play service environment have been invaluable to them. I think, there's an alumni club sort of developing over the last 18 years that I think you can be very proud of. Also, speaking to parents, especially parents of children with additional needs, parents of children with disabilities, parents who maybe rely on their children for caring support, the difference that you make to them, not only in the respite care that you give them, but in the beneficial experiences that you give to those children who might not be able to have them otherwise, either because of the lack of financial means or because of other challenges in their life, really is invaluable. So just thank you to you, the team, the staff, all the volunteers for the work you do. It really is appreciated by us.
Thank you, Leader. I've got a couple of people wanting to speak. Councillor Thomas. Dave Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. I have got a question, if that's okay. But I would like to say to you, Julian, that I actually think you're an amazing, outstanding officer for this council, and your passion and drive for the play service is truly amazing. The early bird breakfast session, you did say you had you were in 3 schools. Could you would you mind telling us which schools you're in, and would you be increasing that at all?
At present, we are in Nantcelyn, Blenheim and Hentless. We were in Luntarnum last year, but that they stated it wasn't required there so much. And thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stewart Ashley.
I must admit, I remember when Julian came 20 years ago. Before I became a borough councillor, I was a community councillor, and I almost got to 30 years on this, along with Bill Walker. And Julian's made a hell of a difference, to be quite honest. Obviously, Cumbrae Community Council, along with other community councillors around here, are partners in this, and he's integrated the whole thing. In a previous life, I was a play worker, and I do appreciate what Julian's up to and what he does. And this is one hell of an undertaking we've got here. I mean, our council puts some circa 60 grand a year into it, and I believe other councils put pro rata the same sort of thing into it. And we get an integrated product, which is absolutely brilliant. Play packs, the aforementioned lunchtime, and I can nothing but praise the way Julian's tackled this, to be honest. And this has gone out and about, and we get regular reports back, and even some of our councillors who are sceptical about lots of other things sing the praises of this. So it's a marvellous scheme, and it's gone from strength to strength. I only echo what Anthony said about it, and other members will as well. And the big event and the other events in it, we see the play service there giving their all. And I've got lots and lots of photographs of the big event and things like that. So thank you very much, Julian, for giving us something that's actually brilliant, and hopefully go from strength to strength again. And the important thing is it's there for all the children, because the numbers speak for themselves, and so do the pictures. I mean, that's what I'm looking at, Stephen, because that and also the other part of it, which is really, really important. I think Anthony said the alumni, the people that got experience off of this. So thank you, Julian. I've heard you say this for 20 years, but it's consistent, and that's that consistency which is really, really important.
Thank you, Councillor Ashley. Councillor David Daniels.
Thank you very much, Chair. It always strikes me how perceptive you are to demand, Julian, and the wider play service. The family play sessions are an excellent example of that. the strength in the play service has always been that you meet families where they're at, which I think is absolutely vital to what you do. You touched on the cost of living crisis. I don't know whether it's too early to ask whether you're seeing anything from your end, because obviously whilst the vast majority of what you provide is play service, so the fun side of things, there is also a very hard element in the background, that some of your play service workers deal with. So I wondered whether the cost of living crisis had translated into anything that you guys have picked up on the ground yet, or whether you're anticipating that in the coming summer.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, due to what we're seeing is, or we're already getting requests now to identify what we're offering in the summer. Parents are saying we can't afford to do anything. This is the opportunity for the children to come along. The food and fun is, they want to book them on already, ready for the summer. Like I say, we've got half-term provision. We've already allocated, we're working with catering on that, not to the same level as the summer, but we are providing food. The venues, for example, the one family session where we got 120 attendees, they're saying they cannot afford to take their children places, so that is why they're attending these venues instead. This is why the numbers are so high. We are looking at, especially for the summer, where on some of the camps, we give out information to the parents, there's information sharing. We would be really keen on working with food banks, and also there's opportunities for parents to collect food, etc., in the heart of the provision when they're picking up the children. So we work, yes, in hindsight, we are fully aware of it, and the demand is getting bigger, and that's why, because of the costs.
Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Just to thank Julian for your presentation, and to thank you and all your volunteers for the work they've done, especially for the support you've given to the new group we've opened up in Glenavon. And I think the volunteers get insight into a career that they might want to follow in social services. So I commend you for all the work, and I'm sure you get continued support from all of us here.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands up to ask questions, so thanks very much for that, Julian. You do a fantastic job, and congratulations on your national award, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Agenda item 9, the announcements of the Leader Chief Executive. Leader, do you have any announcements, please?
Yes, thank you, Presiding Member. I've got just one announcement today, and that is to say a big thank you and well done to the regeneration and external funding teams for their work on our Levelling Up bids. Whilst we're obviously disappointed that Glenavon's bid did not gain approval, the approved funding for Pontypool Town is very welcome, and the approval of that bid is testament to the work the teams contributed putting the bid together.
Thank you, Leader. Chief Executive, do you have any announcements?
No announcements from me, Madam Presiding Member. Thank you.
Takes us to agenda item 10, which is the annual governance statement, which starts on page 33. Justine Cass, Deputy Monitoring Officer, could you deliver this report for us, please?
Thank you very much. Members, I wish to present to you the annual governance statement for 2021 and 22. The purpose of the annual governance statement is to outline the governance processes and arrangements that have been operating within the Council for these years. The annual governance statement is shown in the attached appendix. This has been prepared by officers in the Corporate Governance Review Group, whose remit is to ensure the Council is achieving and maintaining good corporate governance. The annual governance statement was considered by the Governance and Audit Committee in June 22. The actions to be taken after Council are that if approved, the completed annual governance statement will be signed by the Leader and Chief Executive of the Council, alongside the annual statements of accounts. Members, the appendix is our annual governance statement. This has been prepared in accordance with SIPFA and SOLACE framework, delivering good governance in local government. I don't wish to draw to your attention any particular principle, just that at the end of the statement is the review of effectiveness. This is at paragraph 11.1. It states that the review of effectiveness of the governance framework and the work of the Governance Review Group demonstrates that the arrangements in place during the year were effective. Members, the recommendations in paragraph 5. Thank you very much, Presiding Member.
Thank you, Justine. As Justine says, the recommendations are on page 33 of the report. Can I ask members whether they agree with these recommendations, please?
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, certainly. Councillor Slade.
Of the reports pack, paragraph 10.8, is it appropriate or even relevant to refer to a subcommittee, this is the Educational Performance Subcommittee, that hasn't met since September 2018, and one which clearly has failed to fulfil its remit? Thank you.
Councillor Stays, I haven't been part of the process of completing the statement. What I'll do is I'll speak to the relevant officers, and then I'll provide an answer for you and members after the meeting, if that's okay.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Other questions? I don't see any hands up. To the recommendations, which are on page 33 of the report. Can I ask members whether they agree with the recommendations, please? Thank you. Are there any members against the recommendations? Don't see any. Are there any members who wish to abstain? Two members wishing to abstain. Thank you very much. That's carried. Agenda item 11, which is the statement of accounts. Dave Lilly, Director of Financial Services, could you deliver the report, please?
Thank you, Presiding Member. Thank you, Member. Council. This report presents to you and follows on from the report you just considered regarding the annual governance statement. The report presented at agenda item 10 presents the Council's accounts for 21-22 for your consideration and approval. The timeline for the conclusion of the 21-22 closing process was amended by Ross Government during 2022 due to the national clarifications required relating to the valuations of a number of public sector types of assets. The revised date for the finalisation of the approval and finalisation of the accounts was set at the 31st of January 2023. These audit considerations impacted upon the timing and the length of our audit process this year. So we are much later this year in presenting these accounts to you than we usually do. Usually we're presenting them back to you in the summer after the end of March. As outlined within the report, Torfaen Statement of Accounts was submitted to Audit Wales in May 2022, and the audit process has now been completed, and the external auditor, I am pleased to say, intends to issue an unqualified audit opinion. The Statement of Accounts and the audit findings were presented and accepted by the Governance and Audits Committee last week on the 18th of January, as those charged with governance, and the statement is attached as Appendix 1 to the report, along with the 21-22 letter of representation. There is one amendment that I'd like to draw to your attention to the statement, which was unfortunately missed and picked up in final proofing. So this is currently shown on page 107 of the report pack, or page 54 of the statement. In table 13.1, the movement on balances table, the asset reclassifications line is currently showing £892,000 against other land and buildings column. This, however, should be at 100,000, and 792,000 should be disclosed in the assets under construction column. The totals for each column obviously will change, and I can just confirm that this change has no impact on any other parts of the accounts concluded. Following consideration of the accounts by Council today, there are 3 governance actions that will need to be completed to allow the final sign-in by the Auditor General Wales, and these are the signing of the Statement of Accounts indicating their approval by the presiding member at Council and by the Chief Financial Officer, the signing of the letter of representation by the Chair of the Governance and Audit Committee of last week and by the Chief Financial Officer, and the signing of the annual governance statement you've just considered by the Leader and the Chief Executive. The authorised documents will be submitted following signature to Audit Wales, and they intend to sign the documents on the 27th of January, so Friday. Thank you, Presiding Member. That concludes my introduction.
Thank you, David. Any questions from anyone? I don't see any questions. Oh, sorry. Sue, did you want to come in? No? Leader?
I'd just like to thank Dave and his colleagues for that work. Both this and the previous reports are things that we shouldn't take for granted. The unqualified audit report is something that helps the ongoing financial management of the council. So thank you for all the hard work that goes into that. When do you think it's something we take for granted?
Thank you, Leader. So with the amendment that Dave has already mentioned, I'm asking members to look at the recommendations on page 52 of the report and ask members whether they agree with these recommendations. All those in favour? Thank you. Anyone against these recommendations? I don't see any. Are there any members wishing to abstain? No. That report is carried. Thank you, Dave. Agenda item 12, council tax reduction schemes on page 143 of the agenda. Nigel Aurelius, Deputy Chief Executive, could you deliver the report for us, please?
Thank you, Presiding Member. This is a standard report that comes every year. We have to approve a council tax reduction scheme prior to the 31st of January every year. So members should, broadly recognise the report. In Wales, we still retain 100% council tax reduction scheme. So the report is there. There are two changes in relation to council tax reduction. One is to recognise the status of Ukrainian nationals in that they're entitled to CTRS and hosts do not get penalised. And then the other is to recognise that the exception that was afforded to EU citizens is now no longer the case, and they're regarded as not regarded for CTRS purposes. The rest of the report is standard. The scheme will operate as it has this year. There's a little bit towards the end about a wider welfare context. Sitting in the back is our Head of Revenues and Benefits, Deb Smith. And I think it's just worth, me recognising the work that Deb and her team have done. Firstly, in relation to COVID, but now latterly in relation to cost of living, in administering, the myriad of schemes that, have been introduced by the Welsh Government to assist people and businesses, but also in that we proactively utilise discretionary housing payments, as well. There's a considerable amount of work there on top of administering CTRS and council tax and all the rest of the core business as part of the shared service with Monmouthshire. So forgive me for just that little bit of indulgence. But other than that, the report is the same as previous years, and if members agree it today, then the CTRS scheme will be in operation as normal for 23-24. Thank you, Presiding Member.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this report? Can I also congratulate Deb on the work that's been done, right throughout COVID and throughout. You've done a fantastic job, and I think we've recognised, or we've actually stated it in this chamber before. So thank you very much. Rita, do you want to speak? Sue?
Just to reiterate those thanks. Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. I think there's a huge tribute to be paid to the work that we do in supporting people through the various council tax reduction scheme elements and others that Nigel's mentioned today. So it's a big part of the ethos of this council that support is extended as far as is possible. So much appreciated.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. The recommendations are on page 146 of the report. Can I ask members whether they agree with these recommendations? Thank you very much. Anyone against these recommendations? Don't see anybody. Anyone abstaining from these recommendations? Thank you very much. That report is carried. Takes us to agenda item 13, the National Collaborative Arrangements for Welsh Local Authority Adoption and Fostering Services, which are on page 159. Dan Jones, welcome to the Chamber. Interim Head of Children and Family Services, could you deliver your report for us, please?
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. Yes, as you've rightly said, item 13 is the National Collaborative Arrangements for Welsh Local Authority Adoption and Fostering Services. I'm happy to explain the key messages really from this report, and that is to improve the collaborative governance arrangements for local authority adoption and fostering, and provide assurances to the Council that service developments and improvements will continue to be overseen by the National Joint Committee. It's also the view that the implementation will enhance collaborative government arrangements for both the National Adoption and Fostering Wales through the establishment of the Joint Committee supported by Welsh Local Government, and will provide greater assurances to the Council in relation to both the delivery and development of these services going forward. The background to this, just for people's awareness, is that for some time there was a National Adoption Service and the Fostering, what is now Fostering Wales, haven't had that oversight and that collaborative arrangement. This arrangement will then bring those two organisations together and ensure that the Joint Committee has oversight for the delivery of those services and providing of a report once per year. It will also include budgetary oversight, and Cardiff will host this, and there will be a programme of work that will be overseen by the Joint Committee. In terms of the recommendations for Council today, it's proposed that the Joint Committee will be created, comprising of Council members. This will be overseeing the production of the work that I've just outlined, and this is hopeful that the Council will sign this off as a joint agreement today. The reporting, I'm aware that there is a question in regards to the yearly reporting, which will be done through scrutiny, and SUAS would be able to attend to provide that annual regional report to Cabinet if that was required, although those details are still to be ironed out because obviously the committee hasn't been actually set up at this time. It's also important for me to make you aware that 19 of the 22 local authorities have currently agreed to sign up to this arrangement, so Torfaen would be joining our colleagues in committing to that arrangement going forward. Welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions for Dan Jones? You answered my question on the scrutiny process, how we feed back to elected members from the regional committee, so thank you for that. Can I just say also, Dave Williams, you've got a question, thanks.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Simply I was going to ask the question as to whether all the authorities in Wales had signed up, so you've partly answered that, but is the expectation that all 22 will by the end of this month or in due time?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Sorry, you indicated that 19 authorities had signed up, but is it still the expectation that all 22 will by due time?
In brief, Councillor, yes, it is that all the 22 local authorities across Wales will sign up to it. That's the expectation.
Thank you. I think a collaborative arrangement for our adoption and fostering services is the way to go, and that's another part of this council that silently works in the background and does a fantastic job. So our thanks go out to all our adoption and fostering parents. So thank you very much for that. The recommendations for this report are on page 161 of the report. Can I ask members whether they agree these recommendations? Thank you. Any members against the recommendations? And are there members wishing to abstain? That report is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dan, for the report. Agenda item 14, nomination to outside bodies. The in-year update on page 225. Tom Roberts, Senior Corporate Improvement and Scrutiny Officer, can you deliver this report, please?
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member, and good morning, members. This is a very short report informing Council of a change agreed by the Chief Executive and the Leader and the delegated powers to Torfaen Council's nomination to serve on the Gwent Police Crime and Disorder Panel at the AGM in May this year. Variations to nominations can be made during the year. Decisions in year are made by the Chief Executive and the Leader in line with the Council's constitution. Council is advised during the year of such decisions as they arise. As Council will be aware, Councillor Nick Jones stood down as a County Borough Councillor in November 2022 and so is no longer our representative on the Gwent Police Crime and Disorder panel. Due to the overall political balance of the local authorities encompassed by the Gwent Police and Crime Disorder panel, the nomination from Torfaen needs to be an independent councillor, and Councillor Nick Haller has been nominated as our representative. I'll be happy to take any questions before referring members to the recommendations set out in Part 6 of the report, noting the change to the outside body nomination for the remainder of the 2022-23 municipal year. Thank you.
Recommendations on page 226. Any questions for Tom before we go to those? I don't see any. Thank you very much. Can I ask members whether they agree with these recommendations? Thank you. Any members against the recommendations? Any abstentions? That's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Takes us to agenda item 15, motions on notice. There are no motions on notice today, so we'll move on to agenda item 16, which is the members' question time. There are 5 members' questions today, and I believe Councillor David Thomas has the first question. Thank you, Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. My first question is, all councillors very recently received an email from one of my constituents, Mr Mike Selwood, with regards to pedestrian drop curbs. Over the years, we cannot fail to notice that drop curbs have become a valuable asset to many groups in our society. Mothers with young children, elderly people, people with physical and learning disabilities, the list goes on. Can I ask the executive member if perhaps in Torfaen we could introduce access protection markers in front of our pedestrian drop curbs to deter motorists from parking on them?
Thank you. Councillor Amanda Owen, are you going to answer that question?
Yes, thank you for the question, Councillor Thomas. I understand and share the frustration amongst communities in instances where drop curbs are obstructed by parked vehicles. They prove a barrier to wheelchair users, visually impaired pedestrians, parents with young children and parents pushing prams. Enforcement officers are able to issue fixed penalty charge notices to vehicles that are parked across dropped accessible crossing points. It may be beneficial to place access protection markers, also known as H-bars, across crossing points where there is a high pedestrian usage. These would remind people that they shouldn't obstruct these areas. It is suggested, however, that this approach should be reserved for areas where there is a regular problem and where enforcement hasn't resulted in behaviour changes amongst drivers. This is something that we are looking at, and officers will be tasked on a reactive and complaint-led basis to observe and protect pedestrian routes, which will include the drop crossing points, and to take action where these are obstructed. It may also result in the installation of the H-bar, but officers will be engaging with members to let them know of any action taken or any action planned. We're also aware that this is also a serious issue outside schools, and I know many members are being contacted with complaints from parents and residents. I can advise also that our road safety education officers are visiting schools and working with school communities to encourage responsible and safe parking when dropping the children off and picking them up at the end of the day from school. We're also working on a publicity campaign to remind drivers to park in a considerate and responsible manner. This will go out in due course. I do hope that this demonstrates that we are taking action, but I will emphasise that if drivers acted responsibly, parked appropriately and followed the highway code, then we wouldn't have this problem. I know that doesn't go for all drivers because a lot of the drivers are responsible, but, you know.
Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. So just to try and be a bit clear on it, are we going to ask our enforcement officers to take more notice of these pedestrian drop curbs, and are we considering putting in access protection markers?
Yeah. As I said, Councillor Thomas, you know, it will be done on a reactive basis, on complaint-led, you know, and if there's an area where there's persistent people parking across these crossing points and complaints being made, then the enforcement officers will be visiting and taking action. and then putting the H-bars in if appropriate.
Thank you, Councillor Owen. Councillor David Thomas, you have another question for Councillor Daniel.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Presiding Member. At the Cabinet meeting on the 10th of January, the approach to the EcoFlex improvement scheme for Torfaen was agreed. Can the Member for Housing or the Member for the Environment inform members what the plans are for supporting the EC04 scheme, which benefits some of the county's most vulnerable and lower income residents? Can they also provide an update on how these schemes might improve the status of damp and mould control within our registered social landlords and our privately rented housing market?
Councillor Daniels, are you answering that?
Yep. Thank you, Chair. Thanks for the question, Councillor. Eco4 is the UK government's energy company obligation scheme and is designed to support the country's most vulnerable residents. The scheme is not run by TCBC, and the funding doesn't come our way. Instead, the scheme is delivered by one appointed provider for all of Gwent, which I believe is EDF Energy. Our role in the delivery of the scheme is outlined in 4.2 of the report and basically states that we hold a key role in helping to identify those vulnerable and low-income households who fit the scheme's criteria. In addition to this, we will play an important role in communicating the scheme to the eligible general public. Access to the scheme is largely through the eligible individuals applying for themselves. However, we recognise that this will be onerous for some people, so we will try and assist people through our financial inclusion teams and other front-facing support services. We also fund a number of third sector organisations such as Citizens Advice Bureau, who play an essential role in helping people to apply for these schemes. The second element of your question refers to the benefit of the scheme to households experiencing damp and mould. In short, it can only help people with this. We have a lot of energy inefficient properties in Wales and the wider UK. Low income and vulnerable households are particularly exposed to the cost of heating and maintaining energy inefficient homes. So these schemes' aims of improving energy efficiency of low income homes is exactly the right approach. In light of the cost of living crisis and the ongoing uncertainty with global energy supply and the climate crisis, empowering those who are disproportionately impacted by those crises to insulate their homes and reduce the cost of heating and maintaining them is the most sustainable way forward. Finally, we've asked our RSL partners to comment, and both agree that the aim of this scheme is more so towards homeowners in the private rented sector. However, we're informed that our RSL partners are working with other external partners to access Eco4 and Eco Plus funding as part of a wider decarbonisation strategy, asset strategy and investment plan, utilising their own capital programmes, and are taking opportunities to tackle within that programme mould and damp. Investment in this area of work will improve the general condition of housing, and this will include, through the nature of this work, issues relating to damp and mould. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Councillor Daniels. Councillor David Thomas, you're happy with that answer? Yes. Thank you. The next question is question 3 from Councillor David Thomas to Councillor Amanda Owen, Executive Member Environment.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. Can the Executive Member for the Environment comment on what actions have been undertaken since a climate emergency was declared and what outcomes there have been?
Councillor Amanda Owen.
Thank you again, Councillor Thomas. Cabinet signed off the Climate and Nature Emergency Action back in February 22, and we've had to commit to annual reporting on the progress made. Officers took a 6-month update through to the leadership team in the autumn and is due to come back to the Cabinet subgroup next month. Some of the highlights so far has been 355 kilowatts of renewable energy installed across our council sites, 3,868 tonnes of CO2 saved by energy efficiency measures across the council, installed EV chargers in car parks and at council premises. We've appointed an EV officer to take forward the council and county shift to EV. We've carried out a full fleet review, the creation of a strong and committed climate ambassadors network, who are now known as Climate Action Torfaen. We've opened our reuse shop and a repair cafe. We've had approval for the 1.5 Torfaen Leisure Trust scheme for transition to PV and a wider range of energy efficiency measures. and submission to and approval from Welsh Government for our 15-year active travel ambitions. The high-level plan has now been converted into a delivery plan, and each work stream has been allocated with officer lead and a senior officer responsible. As part of the monitoring of the plan, we've committed to having regular reviews by the cross-cutting and resources scrutiny committees. This will make sure that members remain fully involved in the plan, its development and review, and I'm happy to circulate the 6-month progress plans of the action plan to members if they would find it helpful. And I also hope that it shows that we are committed and are acting on delivering this important agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Owen. Councillor Thomas, do you have a supplementary on that?
Not supplementary as such. I was just wondering if you could email me that list, Mandy. Would that be okay?
Yeah, and I'll also email the progress report, the 6-monthly progress report, and I'll share that with all members as well.
Thank you, Mandy. Councillor David Thomas, question 4. Councillor Anthony Hunt, leader, to answer the question.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. Good morning, Anthony. Could you, the leader, confirm how the additional £12.5 million grant funding from Welsh Government will impact Torfaen residents, please?
Thank you for the question. The extra money received in Torfaen settlement from Welsh Government is very welcome. It represents an extra £6.5 million compared to the initial forecast we used to start work on the 23-24 budget, and which we brought to scrutiny in November and will continue to be included in Cabinet and scrutiny reports this month and next. The extra funding shows Welsh Government value the local services that Council provide, despite the difficult funding position they find themselves in. It won't mean we can avoid hard choices given the huge pressures on Council budgets, which amount to nearly £800 million across Wales by the end of 23-24. The impact of inflation on the cost councils face is huge. For example, our energy costs are predicted to rise by nearly £4 million, social care contracting costs are up by nearly £4 million, and pay costs up by over £7 million. But the improved settlement will enable us to work productively to balance our budget, whilst keeping impacts on vital services to a minimum, whilst trying to look to the long term, and whilst also keeping council tax as low as possible for hard-pressed residents who are also seeing other bills rise.
Thank you. Question 5. Councillor David Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Member. And this question will end the Councillor Dave Thomas show then. Can the Executive Member for the Environment comment on the preventative maintenance schedule of drain cleaning in Oakfield?
Yeah. Thanks, Councillor Thomas. In the instance of the Oakfield area, the most recent storms resulted in Welsh Water sewers surcharging, which resulted in the water escaping through the raised manhole covers and into the streets such as Oakfield Road. Officers are currently working in liaison with Welsh Water to ensure that they attend to these issues to try and avoid repeat occurrences. It is challenging, and the existing network has only got a limited capacity, and we've had extreme weather conditions resulting in unprecedented high-intensity storms. In terms of dealing with these more intense storms, the Council prepares a risk assessment approach to target areas that would be prone to the impacts of flash flooding, which is over and above the routine annual gully cleansing regime. The Highways Emergency Response Team will also attend to reports of localised flooding, and the team is staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Over the course of 23-24, we have to produce a new flood management strategy which will involve all members and the communities in its development. We know that events such as this will become more common due to the global warming and the climate, so we need to work together to see how our infrastructure can be prioritised and adjusted through a long-term plan to protect our residents, their homes and their businesses in years to come.
Councillor Thomas.
Yes, thanks for that, Madam Presiding Member. Is there a schedule for the emptying of the gullies then at all?
The street, yeah, I can get the street cleansing and the gully emptying schedule out to you. They did try to work on a schedule, but clearly over the autumn and the winter months, at times we've got to revert back to reactionary reports depending on where street cleansing capacity with the mini sweepers need to be, and you can never keep up with the demand of falling leaves in the autumn and winter, for example.
Thank you. That concludes the members' question time. Takes us to agenda item 17, which is the Cabinet decisions of the 10th of the 1st, 2023. Cabinet decisions start on page 229 and are for the Council to note. There are no challenges to any decisions. Are there any members wishing to comment or ask a question on those minutes? Can I ask members whether they agree with the recommendations to note the minutes of the Cabinet? Any members against? Any abstentions? Thank you, that's carried. Takes us to the date of the next meeting. For your information, members, the next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, the 28th of February 2023 at 10 a.m. Thank you, members. That's the end of the meeting, and a Happy New Year to you all.